All right, it's Tuesday night. How are y'all doing tonight? I hope you're doing well. Uh, Jason as well will be right back. We're going to get started, though. Tonight, we're going to be reviewing a video by Gutsa Gibbons. And it basically covers the Lake Tully footprints and the Lucy conglomeration. That whole old chestnut that we're always discussing on here. So I'll get down to that. We'll take a peek at the Lucy discovery to get started. So before this book was written, the book we're reviewing tonight, which is Contested Bones, and it's actually going to be Erica that's giving her review, so she's going to be taking a critical look at the book. So we'll be seeing what goes on from there. But it discusses Lucy, it discusses the Lake Tully site, and it basically takes a critical examination. I've never read the book myself. I'm probably the only person in the group that hasn't read Contested Bones, but someday I plan to, as soon as I get some free time and all that. But all I know is I've learned more from actually taking a look at the remains themselves and comparing them to remains of other animals and humans than I've learned from reading any book about Lucy. So, and I've got a great book on Lucy too. We've done our work. You know, we've done our inspections here. Jason, are you back with us? But this is the book Lucy: The Beginnings of Humankind by Johansson, and he's the one that is credited with discovering the Lucy discovery. So he wrote this book, and sweet. So we're gonna take a look at this video as soon as so Jason's with us. This is Mark from Sea Science Film Lab, and this is Jason. This is the Mark and Jason show, the Jason and Mark show. Get ready, get excited. Good to have you back, man.
All right, here we go. Let's see. Let's see what the 144. We don't really need it on high quality, do we?
No, just the sound would be good. I'm sure.
Yeah, just leave it on that because then it'll save bandwidth. All right, so we'll start. Do you want to start from the very beginning?
Yeah, I've kind of given a background on what this is and what she's reviewing. She's reviewing the Contested Bones book. So,
okay,
let's get into it.
Here we go.
The afarensis bones are described as very ape-like. There are bones that appear to be distinctly different species that in fact belong in a different genus. These out-of-place bones were acknowledged to be present from the onset by Johansson and his co-workers. Some of the bones of the afarensis
go ahead and pause it right there if you would.
Remarkably human, while others have been described as strikingly similar to those of a chimpanzee.
We'll take a look at some of these bones. So when this book was written, you know, they hadn't discovered the baboon vertebrae, you know, so we've got so when Contested Bones was authored, these guys wrote in there basically that the Lucy conglomeration appears to be a mix of different animal bones, maybe even multiple species, you know, in this single conglomeration that's claimed to be one individual. You know, they've made this this prediction long before this discovery was made that there actually are remains of different animals in the Lucy conglomeration. You know, they've been discovered. So it's a situation where it's come through. It's come to fruition. So we've got, you know, this baboon vertebrae that they discovered, Mike Smith and Gary Sawyer discovered at the American Museum of Natural History in New York City. They discovered that this neck vertebrae doesn't belong to the conglomeration, you know. So this was big news, but it kind of got tucked under the rug somehow, because how could the most famous fossil in the world, and most people don't know this. I mean, as far as I've found, a lot of people don't realize that this neck vertebrae has been discovered to belong to a baboon and not an afarensis, obviously, because afarensis are not real. They are little Sasquatch animals and they're imaginary. So, but that's
Keep going.
yeah. Play on unless you have something to add.
No. Okay, we'll go.
All right.
Hang on.
I put, here's your transitional on the side, right? Like, if something, this is the ape man, right? That ape woman that they've been asking for since the dawn of time. Since the dawn of creationism, they've been asking for a perfect ape man, just a mix of human and Australopith bones. And okay, well, you know, nothing will ever be good enough. Those goalposts are on wheels and like attached to a rocket, like a rocket-powered engine to jet.
So yeah, so she basically says,
I mean, there's
there's
human.
no way.
Go on.
Yeah. She says there's no way that these are different animal bones, you know, believed to belong to the same individual. And then goes on to realize, you know, and then she goes on to say that it's just complete leap of logic. You know, it's like moving the goalposts. And, you know, if you can't accept these transitionals that they've found or claim to be transitional, even though there's obviously other individuals' remains in there, it's like, I don't know, she's repressing it, I think. But that's what I always say. So what do you have to say?
You can see clearly that it's a human sacrum. It's
Yeah.
They've just put it into a conglomeration, a mixture of other bones, and just forced it in to fit with each other. And the ilium was reconstructed and so on. But here we go. Let's go on. And there's the ilium on the right. That was reconstructed, and that was the opposite of the reconstruction, basically on the left. So that's just a cast and an opposite of it. So they reconstructed the top part of this ilium to look in the shape that they wanted it to look, basically. And they've pushed this together. It's just human. It's just human bones. It's just basically there's a human sacrum right there. Anyway, so we'll just keep going, I suppose. You don't want to add anything, do you, Sea Science?
No, and I agree. I was just going to say I agree with you. It's obvious human remains. I mean, the sacrum is so human, and the features of it are so human that it's undeniable. So there are human and animal remains mixed into this conglomeration, whatever she denies it or not, you know. And she's like, we give you a perfect transitional. And it's like, well, a transitional would have remains that look transitional, not remains that look completely human, and remains that look completely chimp, and remains that look completely baboon. But yeah, let's go on from there. Yeah, Lucy's sacrum looks nothing like that. And that's an ape sacrum. So, and it's not in between an ape sacrum and a human sacrum. It is a human looking sacrum. You know, to me it's too obvious. It's got the same curvature, it's got the same shape.
Oh, you're breaking
It's
up.
got the same number of sacral foramina. And the sacral foramina are even at the same angle as a modern human sacrum. So to me, it's like, you know, where's your transition? Where's your evolution? If the transition is supposed to be the shape of the ilium, well, that's a reconstruction, like Jason said to you. You know, it's completely, in my opinion, a reconstructed ilium that's been glued together like puzzle pieces shouldn't be able to be used as evidence, or even measured and used in research papers and used as any viable kind of evidence, because it's fabrication. So you're going to take measurements of this thing and compare them to normal human dimensions and then claim there's differences when it's a reconstruction. But the sacrum here The sacrum is not. That was found in one piece, you know. But the thing is, it has the same curvature, it has the same size, and the same shape of sacral vertebrae. That sacral vertebrae are the same exact shape as a modern human sacrum. So, to me, that's undeniably a modern human sacrum. They might be able to take measurements of it and make claims that it's transitional in some way, but the fact is that sacrum falls within the range of human variation. So,
Yeah, they try to say that it's too small to be a human of today, but you've got pygmies. You've got like the fully grown pygmies are like 3.5, 4 foot tall. You know what I mean? And also you could get pygmies that had stunted growth as well. Can you imagine a dwarf pygmy? How small they'd be?
oh
You know?
yeah,
It's
the range is ridiculous on humankind. It's as we showed in the past, this photo just to demonstrate that. Mr. Kramer here and his friend Eisel.
okay. We'll start the video off again.
Sure.
Off this section by saying Lucy's feet are missing, but some claim that she left heels, that the G trackway at Laetoli was not made by Australopithecus afarensis.
Well, it must have been made by Australopithecus afarensis that had human feet. So it's just basically an ape with a human foot. That's all they've done is put a human foot on an ape. Oh,
Yeah, I mean, here you have some literature, and it's claiming the prints look quite similar to those made by modern people.
There's another trackway there, the A trackway, but
however, the footprints at Site G are smaller than the average
is
human.
probably not.
The tracks range from about 7 to 8.5 inches in length, which is about the same size as a woman's size 4 to 5 shoe size. So it's like, okay, so they look exactly like modern human footprints, except they're small. But they're still the same size as some humans. It's like, so where's the argument that make them, Australopithecus? And there's no, they look completely modern. And that's what Mary Leakey's original literature actually reflected, is that how modern and how human these look, that they even had the arch. So it's pretty interesting that they're claiming just from the footprints and some bones that they found near the area in the same layers, but to claim that those are from the same animal, so they're connecting two pieces of evidence, these footprints and these bones that they found over here in another area, because they're in the same layer of sediment, that they must belong to the same animal. And that's kind of crazy. Plus, to assume that these animals are bipedal, these Australopithecine, without really finding any of their whole feet, adult feet and stuff. So we have it's just guesswork. So if you could play on, we'll move on. Unless you have something to add. But I mean, we can reinforce, it says right there, that these footprints are the same size as a woman's size 4 or 5 in the US. So, yeah, they are the same size as human footprints. They are just like modern human footprints.
There's
And I do
another,
have some of the original literature too. So, but yeah. Now, these are not from the trackway from the site G. Trackway. These are from site. These are from a different site. I believe
Okay.
site A, because you have A1, A2, A3. So this would be site A. And you can see a little map on the bottom left here. You see there's A and G and S. But there's actually like A through O, different trackway sites at this Laetoli site. And yeah. So these are they're sort of human looking, but they're not. They ended up discovering that these are made by bear, I believe. So you have that.
Yeah, it does look like a bear
Or
track. It does. All right, I'll start off. Keep going.
sure, keep going.
Hang on, pops. Oh, it always anyway, hang on. Let me go back to the original size there. When I stop it, it doesn't block it out. Bipedal trackways discovered in 1978, Laetoli site G, Tanzania, and dated to 3.66 million years ago, are widely accepted as the oldest unequivocal evidence of obligate bipedalism in the human lineage. Another trackway discovered 2 years earlier at the nearby site A was partially excavated and attributed to a hominin, but curious. Hang on. But curious affinities with bears marginalized its importance. Sorry, to the paleontological community, and the location of these footprints fell into obscurity in 2019, and I can't read the
Sure. And
last bit.
there you have it right there. You know, they discovered they belonged to bear, so they just stopped really caring about that. But here you have,
Yeah.
bear prints. You have bear prints in the same layer that you have what are supposed to be our ancestors. But they believe that the bear have been around a lot longer than humankind. So they're fine with normal bear prints being found and deer prints and, pretty much everything else running around. But there's, these couldn't be human prints. No way.
Yeah.
That falls outside their narrative. So
Yeah, well, that's why they have to call human footprints apes with human feet, and put human sacrums when they find them in the layers into a conglomeration to say that it was an ape person. Otherwise, it just blows evolution away, doesn't it? If there was humans walking around, and they can't reclassify the layer as a different time period because of all the other bones in it, because they date the layer by the type of old bones that are in it. So there's dinosaur bones and stuff, or whatever. Not dinosaur bones, but I wouldn't say not
Right.
3.6 million years, but there's other bones and other. It's just basically everything they find, like you said before, is just modern animals. It's like bear tracks. We've got pictures of bear tracks from the Cambrian, from a Cambrian layer, and horse tracks as well from a Cambrian layer. And they say that they were, you can see they got an Indian, I'll find those tracks later. They got an Indian like an Indian tracker to have a look at these tracks, and he took one look at them and said they're horse tracks, and the evolutionist looked at them and said they're some type of mollusk. You know how mollusks are flat and can have, and that
Sure.
were in a similar shape to a horse foot.
Oh, because you have the
I
two
suppose-
halves,
I
so they're
suppose
like
they
they
had
must be
mollusks.
shells.
I suppose they had
Crazy.
mollusks the same shape as bear prints back then as well.
Yes.
Yeah,
There you go.
barefoot mollusk. That's it.
Yes.
Anyway, we'll
Yeah, I
keep going.
mean, they
Oh,
have
sorry.
no issue. I mean, they have pretty much all the other modern animals going back even 10 million years, you know? So we've got, like, we're supposed to believe that humans, even though we're the most technologically advanced, you know, thing on this planet, I think. And then we're supposed to be the youngest. How does that work? Did we fall in the same stuff as the Ninja Turtles? Like, how did we gain consciousness when all these other animals have been around far longer? It doesn't make any sense. Like, the whole narrative has a lot of holes to fill. Human evolution is guesswork, conjecture at best. So, but yeah, I mean, we can move on with this if you want to, or we can go check out that article you were talking about with the where they had the hooves and they claimed they were shells. I mean, you have the two halves, so I can see them claiming that, but you know, I don't know. The first thing, you know, dinosaur footprints in the first place, going back supposedly 65 plus million years. You know, you have these dinosaur footprints, and they're by rivers, and they're by, you know, seabeds. That's where you find these prints. It's like, how are they even still there if they're really that old? That's ridiculous. Not that there's
Oh, I
any
saw
dinosaur
something
footprints. Like you
the other-
said, there's no
I
dinosaurs
saw
here.
something the other day.
Totally. But,
Yeah, I saw
Did you?
something the other day. You know how they found a do you know how they found a mosquito with blood molecules in the mosquito? Well, they say 47 million years ago, this mosquito fell into a swamp, died, sunk down to the bottom of a swamp, and they actually say this in the video, was slowly covered by sediment, and it basically preserved the mosquito and the blood molecules that way. And whenever you ever seen something last very long on the bottom of a swamp, first of all, if it didn't get eaten, it'd decay away before it got slowly covered by sediment, right? And there'd be no blood molecules left. I mean, I don't even know. It's so incoherent, the things that they say. They literally believe that this mosquito fell down to the bottom of a swamp, died, floated down to the, you know how you have to, like when you rot, you float, and then you start to rot more, and then you sink. So then it has to sink down to the bottom. Then it has to lay there and not rot away while it slowly gets sediment built up around it. It's I can't believe that there's even atheist
those
channels
are
out there putting that sort of
fantastically
stuff out
preserved.
there.
If you have
Yeah,
the
and
air
this-
bubble, if you have the air bubbles and, like, you know, the mosquito preserved, those are fantastically preserved. Like they
Yeah.
had to have been buried in a catastrophic.
No,
event.
it
That's the
actually
only
had
way.
blood. It actually had blood molecules from its last meal still in it. Literal blood molecules, like they, and this is coming from the evolutionists, not us, not the creationists. They literally say there is literal blood molecules still in this mosquito, but it slowly got covered by sediment. It would have rotted away to gooey liquid or dust by the time
Sure.
it got that happened. I cannot believe they're still putting that stuff out there, and I just cannot believe there's people that still don't stop and think, hang on a second, how did that slowly get covered by sediment over a long period of time and not rot away? And how's there still blood molecules in it after 47 million years? I mean, first of all, it had to not rot away while it was slowly being covered. Then it had to preserve blood molecules and everything. You can still see a red color in it. It's like, what? I mean, I'd love to find that video. I've got to find that video as well. I should get all this stuff ready.
We should check that out as well. I mean, like, people, I think a lot of the times, like, the evolutionists don't even understand what it takes to create a fossil. It seems like they just think that, you know, an animal goes out and dies in the woods and it becomes a fossil. It's nothing like that. It has to be buried, and it has to be buried under a lot of sediment. It's not just something where,
and it has to have,
like, it can't get buried with a couple
mineralized
feet
water.
And it probably has to be underwater. Yeah.
No, it has to have mineralized water passing through the sediment, and like it If it was just, it literally has to have, like, that sediment itself has to have mineralized water in it, and the mineralized water has to be permeating through the bone to be able to replace it with calcite, with rock, basically. Yes. or not calcite, because that would be actually we've also got a picture of a fossil from the Cambrian that's made out of lime. That's a big problem for them. It's one. Wow. I contacted the fossil people, and I said that they were selling this fossil, and I said, "You sure this is made out of lime and all this?" And they got back and they said, "Yep, it's absolutely a genuine fossil, and it's 100% lime from the Cambrian." I mean, I don't know if that's true, which it seemed to be from what I checked out. Then having lime like that in the Cambrian is a big problem as well. I don't know exactly how. I can't remember. I don't think enough lime had. I don't know. They've obviously thought of a way around that from now. So we'll keep going with this anyway. Otherwise, we'll be here for 14 hours.
Sure. Yeah, and then we'll send the open mic link into the chat.
Yeah. Yeah, but I'm going to be careful about that.
Then they go into like a pretty decent summary here of like what actually happened, where the tracks are found, how old they are. The Laetoli footprints are found in Laetoli, which is in Tanzania. As I note here, they were found in 1976 by Leakeys, and they look pretty human. They look human-like. That's what do we mean when we say human-like? Well, an inline big toe, looks like it has 3 arches in the feet, things like that. And we didn't know of anything at the time that these were found with any.
She just said they look human-like, has a big toe, has the arches in the feet, blah, blah, blah. She's basically just saying it's a human foot, but it's not really a human foot. It was a human foot on an ape.
Well, that's what Mary Leakey's original literature said. She said they look very modern human. Like they even have the arch. And here you have a photo of an early Laetoli footprint casting next to a young man's foot. You know, and you can see that there's a big toe, and all the little toes are present on this casting. It's just smaller than this young man's foot.
You can only see the bottom part of the foot.
Yeah.
The heel. Right, yeah.
And you can see the big toe, and it's just as round as it always is on any human foot. You know, it's not a thumb. It's not an ape thumb becoming a big toe. It is a big toe. They've already, and that's what they were so astonished by.
On that cast, where's the big toe on that? I thought that was just the heel. Is that the big toe in the
on that? Oh,
that picture. Well, yeah.
Well, I guess I would have to draw the outlining if you can't see it. I mean, I can see it fine. There's shadow.
Oh yeah, I can see. Oh yeah, I know what you mean. I just thought you said that you could see it there, the big toe. But yeah, no, yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, it's the same size foot. It's the same sort of heel, and it's good that they use someone with a flat foot and an unusual shaped foot, because they often find these unusual shaped feet, which is just in the human variation today. And they try to say that, because the foot shape was unusual, then it must be something else. Well, go and have a look at people's feet. They're all different. Anyway.
I'm going to have to load a closer photo up of this thing too. So you can see the definition of the big toe and all the little toes here. I'm going to do that. If you play this, we'll play this through. Let's play this through and we'll talk about it.
Any certainty that had that kind of foot morphology. We'll get there though. 3.7 million years old. Talk about how long they are, who they were. 3 individuals traveling in sort of an ash fall that had happened due to volcanic eruption nearby, covered the landscape in ash, and then 3 Australopiths are walking along leaving the tracks. The Laetoli footprints were found more than 1,000 miles away from where the fossil remains of Lucy's kind were found, and they were dated to nearly 500,000 years older than Lucy, yet Johansen strongly asserted these footprints must have been made by his species. They're just imposing malice on these guys as if it's some kind of sneaky cabal of individuals who are trying to push evolution despite evidence.
She's got to be kidding, right? She says that the footprints were found 1,000 miles away from where Lucy was found, and Lucy was not all found together, by the way. They found her in little bits and pieces. They had to shuffle the stone down the side of the hill and pick through the stone, and they found bits of it from all different places, I think kilometers or miles apart or a mile apart or whatever. And then they just put them all together and they found these human bones, and they've gone, oh, this is a big problem finding fossilized human bones in this layer. So we'll just, put it together in, and by the way, Johansson was just about to run out of funding too. A few days before, after his find, he would have run out of funding. and also if he finds something like just that's already been discovered, then he doesn't get all the money and books and contracts and big note himself and so on. So that's why they do this sort of stuff. She just basically said it 1,000 miles away. That's ridiculous. And they look exactly like human tracks. They're human tracks, and they just put human feet on apes. And
Sure.
I
I mean,
don't believe for 1 second. Yeah, go on.
Yeah. No, you go ahead. Keep going. I'm gonna write it down.
All right. I just don't. Yeah, I don't believe for 1 second that they that they haven't found 8 feet in those layers. If they found 8 feet, they'd throw them away, wouldn't they? I mean, I've heard stories about how they found like parrots, modern parrots, in with T-Rex, and they throw them away. What's that thing that show that? Oh, that guy, he did it. I can't remember the name of it. He traveled around the world and showed the differences between fossils and anyway, we'll just keep going with this. Unless you want to say something, you're doing something at the moment, aren't you?
I can't think of the show that you're talking about, but
yeah, I can't either. It's a DVD series that he made, and I can never remember his name. But anyway, it's just ridiculous. 1,000 miles away, and just because they find human footprints in this layer and they can't reclassify the layer as a different time period, they have to force these human feet into the Australopith.
Sure. And I mean, what they have done, like
It's
Mary Leakey,
contrary.
she's discovered.
No,
She's actually discovered, what she claims are Afarensis parts near the Laetoli site in the same sediment layers. But it's like to assume, first of all, that from whatever, a jawbone, whatever she found, that these are Afarensis individuals, and that those individuals are bipedal from just finding their jaw. You know what I mean? That's a leap right there. But then to also believe that these footprints that look so modernly human, that are a bit of ways away from the jawbone that she found, I think it's called LH4, is one of the remains that were found at Laetoli too, that are claimed to be from Afarensis. But to claim that these footprints were made by the animal that you found a jawbone of in the same layer quite a ways away at Laetoli site is ridiculous, especially when they look so modernly human. In fact, it's like if you were a critical scientist or an honest scientist, you would take one look at the prints and say, yeah, they're human prints. I mean, they're walking right next to each other. Whether they were made at the same time or not, you have two sets of human-looking prints right next to each other. And as we've said before, and we should mention it again, is that the first set here, the lower set, the smaller set of prints, they appear to have like an out-towing effect going on, which is a common walking complication for human children. So you have a common human trait, a walking complication that's evident here in this trail, okay? And then you're going to assume that these trails were made by some hypothetical Sasquatch-like being instead of what a thinking person, a rational person might, which would be obviously human tracks. And to be, an anthropologist and to look at these tracks and not realize that they're human right away is one thing that bugs me, because they're like, they went out in search of something to prove their story, and that's what it really is. They're trying to find some evidence and then fit it into their puzzle somewhere. But here you have the oldest set of footprints, of human looking footprints found yet in the whole world, okay? And they're not even claimed to be made by humans, by the people that discovered them. even though you can look at these prints and you can look at early castings of it, and it's like it's so obvious that they're human. And yeah, the entire foot is in this casting. I don't know if you can see it, if it's not clear where you at. You might be able to zoom in on your screen, but I posted the gallery in the chat for people to check out, and you'll be able
I
to
can see
zoom
the
in and
big
see
toe. Now that's the little
definition
kid's
there.
foot. Yeah, I got it now. That's the little kid's foot. Yeah, the little
Yeah.
foot. Yeah, that's
This,
right.
yeah,
You
the
can
little
see the big
foot, the
toe and
little
the little
casting
toes. Yeah.
here. That little casting there is a casting of the individual and the lower individual on this site G trail. So it is the smaller set of feet. And now we've measured, we've got the measurements, and we went to the original literature. Thanks to my friend Paleologos, he provided me with some of the original literature from Mary Leakey. So we checked our chart here. We have a table made up, and we figured out exactly what size they are according to the original literature from Mary Leakey and the measurements taken by her.
I'm gonna have to go get my dog out. I'll be back soon. Sorry, mate. We're just gonna have to talk.
Yeah, I'll go on about this for a bit. So we took the measurements, and the hominina number 1, hominina number 2. The second one is the lower set, the smaller set. So in this table, individual 1 is the top set, and individual 2 is the lower set of prints. Okay. So the first set is the larger set, and they say that those are 21.5 centimeters in the original literature. So this table was taken from Wikipedia, but I cross-referenced it with the original literature from Mary Leakey, and the length of the footprints is the same, but some of these others are inaccurate. But this is the original lengths given. And what we found out is that these footprints are what would belong to the size of a modern human child. The first set, which is the smaller set, would be between 4 and 5 years old. So you're looking here, the smaller set, according to the foot chart, they would belong to a 4 or 5 year old child. And then the larger set, they would be about 7 or 8. Okay, so that's the footprint sizes you have here. Now, yeah, they're smaller than what would say an adult human footprint. But beyond that, there's no reason to believe that they belong to this. And that's why these are always depicted with human feet, is because of the Laetoli footprints. Okay? And they have found a foot that they claim belongs to an afarensis, since the Laetoli discovery. But the reason that they believe that the afarensis has human feet is because of the Laetoli site. So every picture you see of an afarensis have these human feet. And it's just a ridiculous thing. Where's your transition? You have a human bottom with an ape top. So what would you imagine that all the conglomerations are? Maybe human bottoms with ape tops? Hey, maybe the bipedal parts of these things are human. And maybe the ape parts are ape. It couldn't be that simple, could it? Well, it was the day when they found this. When they found this bone in this Lucy conglomeration, it was that day, because they found out that there's a baboon bone in there. Okay? And, we got to get this out because, and they say, oh, but the rest belongs to Lucy. Really? How can you be sure, especially when there's such human-looking remains in it? So they claim the rest belongs to Lucy, but now that they've removed this single vertebra, there only remains 46 remains in Lucy. And an individual, a human individual, or an ape, we all have over 200 bones. So how complete is Lucy if you only have 46 remains? and they're fragments. A lot of them are fragmented a lot of them are fragmented ribs, as you can see here. So,
Okay, I'm back.
all right.
Playing the video again. All right.
Sure. Yeah. Let's move on. We'll finish this video and then we'll send that open chat link or open mic link. So
This is exactly what they think, right? And they're just willing to pack this chapter full of mystery. The source here, and there's no source for a reason. No anatomist looked at the Laetoli footprints and said these are identical to modern humans. That did not happen. Mary Leakey, when she first stumbled across them, said that they looked remarkably human, but no one proposed that these were anatomically modern human. No mistake about it. Certainly not anatomists. And I suspect that if they had a quote that supported that, they would have cited it. So they continue onward. They use the word paleo expert again, which that's why I have the T here to combat the acid flooding my gastrointestinal system.
and there you have it. She really said that she got a stomach ache, so that's why this is called Gets a Tummy Ache, because she got gastrointestinal. Okay. Anyway, yeah, moving on. These are all the pieces of fragments of skull that they invented the skull from. 6 fragments of skull. No face, mind you. No face. But you can get this. Ah, there we go. Give us a kiss. Yeah, so that makes no sense to me. It's all imagination, it's fabrication. But play on, yeah, it's playing on, but yeah.
All right, we'll keep going.
Unless you have something to add about the skull.
Just that you'd said it all. It's just ridiculous. Look at it. It's that thing at the above the eye there. That on the eye there, that could come from any skull that just be fitted in to the narrative. You know what I mean? It's like they'd say that's about the only piece they got, and this, I suppose. It's okay if that's a human jaw, they're just going to make the ape head. That's why Lucy's so small, because an ape jaw's bigger.
Sure.
It's bigger than a human jaw, right?
Yeah, they've got a decent piece of the jaw. You know, they've got of the mandible there. You know, there's a decent piece. But as far as the skull, you know, there's nothing. There's nothing.
Yeah,
so the whole skull is
the mandible might be, but then they put like more human teeth on it as well. It's crazy. It's like they made this ape-looking skull with that's pretty much modern human teeth there. That's modern human teeth right there.
Sure. And what they'll say is that they have the other, you know, mandibles of these animals, so they know exactly what kind of teeth to put in, and what kind of skull, you know, what kind of shape to make the mount that they glue these little pieces of skull to. You know.
Well, how come they don't show them then?
Oh yeah. No, I mean, they're around. Yeah. I mean, there's some pretty well constructed fragmented skulls out there. To mention, as far as the afarensis, I think there's like one beyond this. Yeah. Okay, so there's one. And, you know, even that, I think that's it's a conglomerate. So it's made up of different skulls of different individuals. And they even admit that. You know, so they got like all the pieces of skull together. And they invented this one skull out of it. You know, and I think it was made out of the first family he finds, which is the AL333. Which I talk about, but I don't have any pictures of tonight, I think. But I do have a little bit of it. I mean, this is how they were collected.
That's crazy. They collected it from it's from a massive area that they collected it from, not all in one spot, and they're just pushing gravel down the hill, and they put the gravel on great big blankets, and they just pick through the gravel from this huge area. And then just pick those pieces out. And isn't it funny how Johansen managed to make this discovery just a few days before his funding ran out?
Yeah, that's convenient for him and his crew. No doubt. No doubt. Yeah, I mean,
propelled
you
into.
know, this is how the first family was collected, but this is the same way that they were collecting these remains at the site, the same way that they collected the gravel off the side of the hill to get for Lucy. I mean, here you have the gravel from the Lucy Hill laid out on blankets next to the Awash River. You know, this is undeniable evidence right here of how these remains were collected. So, you know, people like
Yeah, that's perfect.
Erica, she might
That's perfect.
believe.
That skull, where right beside that picture, is perfect. I mean, that
Sure.
bottom part, they might have something to say there, mate. You know what I mean? Like if that was a part of a human jaw, that part at the bottom there, all they'll do is make the ape head smaller to fit the human jaw. You know what I mean? The narrative sort of thing. But anyway, the top part is the part that gets me. There's just no way. And then the teeth. How do they know that from the top part? They don't. And
Right.
the teeth is just pure imagination. Utter.
Well,
just,
yeah, I mean the Afarensis skull, you know, it's completely imagined. It's I've got another here. Here's a photo of the bottom of what they claim is an Afarensis. You know, so
a
here you have a
bonobo.
maxilla. The maxilla, they say. That's the upper arcade, upper dental arcade. And you know, so the middle one's supposed to be an Afarensis, right? And yeah.
And look at the teeth. Look at the teeth on that middle one. They don't look anything like the teeth that they put in that skull, that made up skull.
Oh,
They
sure.
you can see those teeth there are canines, proper canines, not little human canines like we've got, but proper canines in that.
Oh, you mean compared to this skull? Yeah, because these look
Yeah.
so human. Those look so
Yeah,
human.
and then you go to the one that they found, and you can see that the teeth, it's got actual canines in it, and you can see it's and show the bonobo next to it, the bonobo skull.
Yeah, see, this is still an Afarensis. This is a claim to be an Afarensis, but this is one of the conglomerates that they made. But this is the Lucy, you know. So this is the bottom of what would be the skull on the right, but it's a different color because there's a lot of different models of this thing. So, but it shows what
is that something they put together, obviously, or they didn't find that skull complete, or
no,
or whatever.
yeah, this is put together, and actually, the very top part of that light brown color. Okay, that's the only part that they found because this is the Lucy skull, but it's the bottom. Yeah, so all the dark brown. Yeah, all the dark brown is imagined, you know.
Oh no. Oh, you're kidding me. People
they
don't
have
know
one
this
of these.
stuff.
Now, what you have here in the middle here, this is from the AL333 finds. So on that big table of remains that you see sometimes, or that are supposed to be, you know, these missing link remains, on that big table, you'll see like one jaw. And this is the jaw that's claimed to be an Afarensis jaw.
Show the bonobo. Show the bonobo right beside that.
Sure.
So people can see the difference, but it's just a bonobo. They found a bonobo and they've put human sacrum in it and human feet on it.
Yeah, you know, all the chimpanzees, there's different types of chimps. And
so there's your bonobo right there. There's your bonobo.
It's a different kind of chimp.
It's just a chimp, and then you go back and have a look at the other one, and it's just the same. It's exactly the same jaw. Yeah. It's identical. It's a bonobo.
And I mean, you have a situation like they'll be like, oh, the teeth are a little bit bigger. Sure. I mean, the teeth, they look a little bit bigger. But like that jaw is undeniably an ape jaw. It's not between human and ape. You know, it's not transitional. It's got the full dental arcade of an ape. You know what I mean? Now this is a bonobo. You dig it? And it's got a little bit shorter of a jaw than some other chimps. So what you have here, again, they're using the variation of the kinds to make their claims, you know, about transition here. Because while you could have even the idea of the differences between the sexes, the dimorphism between male and female chimpanzees, you would see a difference in the mandible size and even the size of the canines. So, yeah, I mean, they're using variation within kinds to make comparisons like this that are really pretty dishonest, you know. And then beyond that, then they'll make drawings of that same comparison and tell you exactly what they're trying to point out. You know, like, hey, these teeth look more human. When you look at this thing and those teeth are all worn off.
Yeah, except for the one on the left-hand side, that canine on the left-hand side, that's protruding a lot more than what they're showing in their makeup. Way out. You can see that that's got canines on it.
The other thing is those canines, they take a while. Like they come out during the life of the chimpanzee through their adolescence to adulthood. So those get longer, and if it dies early, you got a smaller skull. You got teeth that are further in.
If it dies early, you've got your afarensis.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But yeah, let's get back to the video. We'll finish this and put the link in the chat. We'll discuss this stuff with people.
Okay.
If they're trying to.
Yeah, they'll baboon. We already covered that.
Due to the discovery of the baboon vertebrae, there's now 46 remains, meaning there's now less evidence for Lucy than before 2015. With the discovery of the baboon remain, the other lack of more complete supposed afarensis finds, the known reconstruction of the ilium, the pelvic blade, and the hoaxes of the past, aren't you just a little bit skeptical of these finds? I know I am. So. Yeah, Lucy. There she is. The whole face was created too out of those 6 skull fragments. So.
Hey, there it is.
Yeah. There's your 6 skull fragments floating in the air.
Six skull fragments.
That's a good way to look at it too, because
the
they're like open and out in the air like that. It's like this is how much of the skull we actually found. And to know that the pieces that are there, the 2 pieces floating, are made up of 6 different pieces they glued together. Ah.
Yeah. Lucy is one of the most incomplete skeletons found to date from the earliest hominids that flourished between 4 to 2 million years ago. The skeleton consists of bones from a single individual, presumably female, who stood well under 4 foot tall.
And I believe that's from the Smithsonian Educational Site. So, and it's not one of the most. It's the most complete skeleton of a known type of afarensis, because they also have Littlefoot, like we've discussed in the past. They have that one that's outlined in red there. That looks a little bit more complete than Lucy. But here's the thing that not a lot of people understand is there's extreme damage that's done to this find compared to Lucy, where to the point where you can't even see the sacrum.
So here's a
because
picture
it's just because the sacrum's just it's just a fragment compared to Lucy's sacrum, which is the triangular pelvic bone. And then they say that it was eroded by water, so a lot of the details were taken away, and most of the pelvis was destroyed by the water flow. So like, how complete is STW 573? Well, it's the most complete one they have. It's just badly mangled. It's definitely the most complete skull of a claimed Australopithecine that they've ever discovered. But this isn't an afarensis either. So you got to understand that Lucy is the most complete Afarensis. Okay. But it's also the second most complete Australopithecus that they've ever discovered. So out of all these claimed missing links, Lucy's the second most complete skeleton. Here you have all 7 skeletons of Australopithecine. All the major discoveries claim to be Australopithecine, and they represent the major members of each group. Because you have Afarensis with AL28-1, that's Lucy. And then you have the MH2 and MH1 on the right, and that is the Sedibas. So,
hang on, what timestamp?
yeah, I mean, Gutsick.
7:45. I'm gonna have to start this again. Hang on.
All right.
It's playing up. Of course it is. Why wouldn't it?
You can play it out, man. Play it out.
No. It wasn't. The picture wasn't playing. Showing up. I have to start it again. I can't remember. 7:45 timestamp. I forgot the timestamp. Oh well, doesn't matter.
But yeah,
7:40 timestamp.
I'll scoot the link into the chat for people if they're trying to join, and we'll just go on and see if anyone joins up.
Be careful who joins, because the guy that joined last time, man.
Sure.
I mean, isn't it funny that guy? Hang on, just let me stop this. Oh man, it won't stop. Oh, come on. It's like hang on, YouTube. I'm tapping on YouTube. Oh, it just won't stop. There it is. Oh my lord. YouTube. Sorry, I shouldn't blaspheme like that. They're unreal. Anyway. So we'll just go to share. Oh man, you tell me this is. Anyway.
All right. So that's in the chat if anyone wants to try and join.
Here we go.
Just no.
Okay, hang on.
Nothing too crazy. We don't mind anybody like personality wise, but the profane and profane things you got to keep off. So
yeah. Well, the thing is that isn't it funny? YouTube algorithms couldn't detect that stuff that guy played on our last channel before he played it, even though he uploaded it, right, as a GIF, but they let him play it, and then they give me a strike immediately the moment he plays it. As far as I'm concerned, YouTube set me up. Some YouTube workers.
It does sound like they were trying to slap one of us.
And mate, how can I get a strike
Either way, that is what happened. Either way, that's what went down. Is you got a strike for it, and it's like, whether it was pre-planned, premeditated, or not. So
but it's not premeditated. It doesn't matter. The guy came on. What I mean is, he can upload that GIF right into his profile pic for YouTube, and YouTube can't detect it, right? That he's uploading it. There's something like that to share out live, but they can detect it the moment it goes live. They can detect it and give me a strike. The split second it goes live, they can detect it, and I get a strike immediately. But they can't detect it when he's uploading it into his thing, because they know that what people are uploading into those things. They could see that, and they could stop it before it happened, but they don't want to do that because it wouldn't give them a chance to ban people, to get strikes on people's channels. But it's just suspicious how that strike went on there almost immediately. Like it didn't even take any time. You know what I mean? That's what makes it suspicious.
I, as well as you, would look at this and say, wow, like, as these guys in Contested Bones are about to know, if you saw this on the beach, you wouldn't do a double take. You wouldn't think that there was some crazed Bigfoot running around. You wouldn't do a double take. You wouldn't think that there was some crazed Bigfoot running around. You would just say, that's kind of a weird footprint. It does look indistinguishable from a modern human footprint. It has an inline helix. It has 3 arches. It has a heel. Right?
Wow, Erica.
But this does not mean it's anatomically modern.
It does look indistinguishable from a modern human foot. Wow, Erica. No kidding. You said it didn't, and then you said it did. Amazing. Maybe she's just agreeing with the book. Could that be?
But you see how you toe? I've stepped in mud plenty of times before, And I've seen that with my toe squetching out to the side in the mud, and because the toes pushing, the big toes pushing out to the side when they've stepped in mud, they might have stepped on a river stone and it's pushed their toe apart in the mud, or I've stepped in mud and it's spread my big toe apart. I've seen that without any stones at all. I've just seen that exact shape from my toe in mud. So she's just because the toe's sticking out like that, it's so what? The person got a bit of mud between their toe and it forced their toe apart. When they were walking, that's not an opposable big toe, like an opposable big thumb. That's just a toe that was
not at all, not at all.
Mud.
And you saw the casting. You can see the early Laetoli footprint casting. So while the one set of footprints looks like it's more deteriorated than the other, and they say that's because they were made in different times that the sediment was different textures. So it was a little bit drier at one time than the other. And the footprints are a little bit deeper and a little bit more like stretched out, maybe.
I just can't believe that she's trying to say that because that toe is sticking out a bit like that, where it's pushed into the mud and just separated the toe apart and stepped in the mud. I can't believe she's showing a foot of an ape foot and trying to say that is. Oh man, it is. Look, I'm really shocked. I've never watched this video because it just drives me nuts watching her videos. I go off my head. I can't stand it, and that's the reason. I mean, look at that imagination, pure imagination, defending pure imagination, Erica. 100% pure imagination.
I don't have any ape feet to show and compare, but everyone knows that apes have hand feet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I don't know. And like these prints, like you said, I mean, it's undeniable. Like they're human footprints. And that's exactly what the literature said. And that's exactly what she just said herself. Gutsick Gibbons said. She said, they look indistinguishable from modern human footprints. So, and they are, because they are modern human footprints. Well, our ancestors. So maybe.
Yeah. Well, they are our ancestors, just human ancestors, not ape ancestors.
Sure. I mean, if they survived. And that's the other thing, too.
Right.
Can you make a claim that those are our ancestors, really? Because they were just two little kids running through an ashen landfall. And it's like from a volcano, I guess. That's what the claim was, is it's ash from volcano that the footprints are made in. So you got a couple of kids, we can't prove that they're anyone's ancestors. But we can say that, they were humans from before modern times. But it's obvious that they had the same exact feet as us. So to believe that the top of them looks like an ape is a bit of a stretch, a leap in logic at least. So. But we can, let's just finish this up.
But this does not mean it's anatomically modern, because you have to run a biomechanics analysis to actually figure that out. That is where they fall intermediately, how they carried that weight. The morphology looks modern, which is why it drives me crazy that they get so pissed off. Halix. Of course, they don't associate those because they just don't know about the feet, evidently. That's why they call this the Lucy chapter and not just an Australopithecus afarensis chapter. Okay, so they finish quote mining, and then they say
the feet weren't found yet, like I said earlier, at the time the book was authored, I believe. So that's her going on about something, I don't know. Her point was that they found the feet. Well, by the time that was offered, I don't think that they had found the feet. So, and I don't think that they had written up any literature on it either. And that foot is awfully small, if it's the one I think that she's speaking about. Because that's the one that we've discussed in the past, which is about the size of a baby's foot, or like a human baby's foot. So like measuring bones of that foot and comparing them to human individuals of claimed same age of what would be an Australopithecine, which should be much smaller than a regular human. You're going to find differences in the lengths. But yeah, I mean, it took over 30 years. It took over 40 years. It was 40 years to identify this baboon remain. in this conglomeration. It blows my mind. And that proves that they're not taking a critical enough look at these original discoveries. And we need to take a more critical look at these original claims. We need to look at Littlefoot. We need to look at Lucy. We need to take their remains and compare them to everything and make sure that they're what they're claiming they are, and not just take these people on their word, on their basically holy relics for their religion. I'd say. I mean, human evolution is like a religion for these people, and these are like their holy relics. So we need to take a look at these holy relics that they don't want us to touch, that they put behind these glass safes. They have them in glass safes over in Ethiopia. That's where Lucy is. She's in a glass safe. Can't even touch it. Okay? And the baboon remain is still in that case. They haven't taken it out yet. Why is it still in there? The whole thing's a hoax. So, but we can look at that video that you were talking about.
I can't. I'm trying to find it. I can't.
The mosquito one.
Yeah.
All right.
Wait a minute. Maybe it's in here.
All right, Cal. You have a good night, man. Thanks for coming by.
I'm just looking through to see if I can find it.
So she flat out says that they look indistinguishable from modern human footprints, and then she's like, "But you got to look at the mechanics of it. You got to look at the 3D images that they took of these things and the comparisons that they made, and take the measurements, and you'll know exactly why they're not human." And it's like, they're children's footprints. And another thing is they're also using that out-towing effect of the one individual and making claims about that other than the obvious, which is that it's out-towing from a normal human walking complication. So it's just, if they didn't want something to prove, like if they weren't grasping for straws, if they weren't begging for evidence to prove human evolution, then they wouldn't be using these very human-looking footprints. You know, they wouldn't be having to make claims that these very human footprints are actually human ancestors with monkey tops and people bottoms. So,
hang on. No, I don't know. I'm gonna have to try to find the timestamp while you talk.
It's all good. It's all good. You keep working on that, and I'm gonna go into this Littlefoot claim for a second. First of all, there's plenty of smaller humans. There still are. There's still big humans too. There's big humans, there's little humans, and we should expect to find their bones around us in the earth because humans bury their dead. So here you have a situation where Johansson and his team dug a bunch of remains out of the side of a hill, out of this gravel, and they put them together into this conglomeration that they claim belongs to this animal, this imaginary being that you can't find anymore. And by the way, it's like the only thing that didn't make it. Why would that be? You know, so you have the human evolution tree here. And their imaginary tree, their phylogenetic tree. And you'll notice that none of the Sasquatches made it. So unless, you know, there's still Sasquatches today that we don't know about, and they just haven't shot one yet, they died off a long time ago. So, and, you know, humans all made it. and the chimpanzees made it. The gorillas made it. Just these.
I found a
Awesome.
timestamp in this video, but I want to show this timestamp.
Sure.
Let me find it. Let me get rid of that one.
So you have all these branches that go nowhere, you know? It's just,
Rid of that one.
it's too funny. That's because these branches are made up branches.
Here she goes. Hang on. Oh, no, that's the. All right, we'll just get on to this.
Sure.
Hang on. Just let me find the right spot so we can get away from what they're talking about here. There we go. All right. Okay. Present.
Oh, and I've got a great video that we could view. David Montgomery, and he's a geologist that believes in a global flood. I don't think he believes in it at the same time period.
Thing that started playing.
Yeah, but I don't. Have you ever heard of David Montgomery? Maybe not. And he's a little bit on the fringe side, other geologists are like, why is he talking about a global flood? Oh, okay.
Turtles
Okay.
are some of the most
Oh, wait a second. It's just playing up. Wait a sec.
All right, there we go. But yeah, I'll go find that video by David Montgomery as well. That is a big turtle.
Wait a minute. I've got to turn the corner on that. All right. Okay.
Am I coming through clearly?
Are we sharing out? Oh. Now you are. You just then you were.
Oh, good.
All right. So here we go. All right. Let me see. Oh, wrong one again. There we go. All right. Now, just let me get back there. Just to there, and we'll start.
Blood following death. Tiny nanoparticles are formed, and it started to act like formaldehyde, preserving
This is how they're talking about the dinosaur soft tissue, how it was preserved, which is absolute rubbish. It cross-linking and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, it survived 75 million years, in a bone and all that. Yeah, I'm sure. But anyway, let's
longer than would otherwise be expected. The
It's
discovery has
next one I
had
want you to see.
far-reaching consequences for paleontological science, because with this new material to study, far more can be learned about the biology of dinosaurs.
There.
Turtles are some of the most...
Now, they say this is a giant prehistoric turtle. It's 5.7 inches. Now, let me see if they show it here.
majestic and loved animals of all, and are an incredible...
That's a big turtle
They show
show.
It's 5.7 inches long at the bottom. That's the base of the shell. And I thought that looks familiar. So I looked up Galapagos Island turtle, the biggest Galapagos Island turtle ever known. And it was almost 6 feet, the shell, right? And not only was it almost 6 feet, but it was 919 pounds. So this was basically what you're looking at there is a Galapagos Island turtle fossil, right? And look at the imagination that comes out of this. Watch this.
often rare sight to see in oceans around the world. Today, though, there's just a fraction of the number of species of turtles now.
This is the sort of creature that they got from that thing. They've basically just tweaked a Galapagos Island tortoise shell. Basically tweaked it to look like a water animal, and all they've got is the base of the shell. So basically, all they've got there is a Galapagos Island turtle shell. That's all they got. Let's have a look through here and see. We'll get past that one. I don't want to have a look at that. There's the snails.
So again, they're just making imaginary animals from.
Yeah, and here's the snails in amber. You got these snails in amber. We don't even have to play this. We got the snails in amber. They say that they're, tens of millions of years old and all this stuff. And then in this same article, this same show, he says, but we do have modern snails today that look the same as this. And he shows a modern snail today that looks identical to the snail in the shell in this video, but we'll just get past that because you imagine that. There it is right there. There's the modern snail, the same shell today. And they're saying that, oh man, it's crazy. But anyway, let's see. Oh, here it is. Here's the mosquito. This is hilarious. This is absolutely hilarious.
Animals. But in the decades since the story was first published, there have been several discoveries that contain precisely that. One of the best examples was found in northwestern Montana in 2013, where around 46 million years ago, a mosquito fed on a meal and then, for some reason, died and sank to the bottom of a pond. Over a long period of time, it was slowly covered with sediment and became encased with...
Over a long period of time, it was slowly covered with sediment and became encased...
For whatever reason.
But how did it lie? Like these things rot within hours. Within hours, they start to rot. It's not even going to lie there for a day or two.
He said for whatever reason it floated to the bottom of the pond. It's like, I don't know.
Didn't get eaten by anything. And was on the bottom. It didn't get eaten by scavengers or anything like that. And didn't rot away. It would have rotted away within hours. I mean, like we're not talking days or weeks. We're not talking weeks. We're talking hours. And this thing is supposed to lay there and slowly get buried. I mean, even if it was anyway. And listen to what he says.
I'm surprised it didn't get wiped out by the mud. It buried it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's still got blood.
Squish a mosquito, just rub it. You rub it and it's just gone. They're amazing. It's just amazingly preserved. These like the mosquito. Finding a mosquito, finding some of these softer bodied animals, the preservation that's going on here is just amazing. So something happened to make
jellyfish preserved. Anyway, so let's get on with this. Hang on.
A piece of shale. Researchers could hardly believe what they were looking at when
see that blood. There's the blood. There's blood in that. And it's 47 million years ago. It's floated down to the bottom of a swamp, slowly got covered by sediment and was preserved. I mean, it didn't rot away and it's still intact and it's still got blood molecules. Here we go.
Sample was put under a microscope because it appeared that it had a blood-filled abdomen. And it was only after using a scanning electron microscope and a mass spectrometer that they could show that there were indeed traces of iron and porphyrin molecules, which is proof of blood. It had previously been assumed that genetic material from so long ago simply couldn't be preserved, but this discovery has completely changed that idea.
It's, man, I mean, I can think of 100 ways that thing could have got buried and not degraded other than just slowly floating. I can't believe that guy said that in that video. Just somehow, for some reason. Now, what happens is they lay their eggs and they die, don't they? They go in the water and they lay their eggs. They suck the blood. The blood isn't to feed them. The blood is to nourish the eggs. And then they lay their eggs and they die, as far as I knew. I thought they did. Maybe they don't.
Yeah, I don't think they live very long. I think, yeah. It's over for them after laying the eggs, I'm pretty sure.
So there's the blood molecule. So there you go. We should do this video's got a treasure trove of evolutionary imaginations in it. It's incredible. The stuff that they go on in this video, it's got some pretty interesting stuff in it too. But we won't go on with that.
I'm here listening with you. So yeah, play on, man.
Hang on. We're not getting anyone. No one's going to join. You're not going to put the join link in, are you?
I did. It's in there. So
okay.
If someone does join, keep your eyes peeled.
Yeah. All right. So here we go.
Next step of the study will be to carefully remove a sample of the blood without damaging the specimen, and then looking to find how the different blood molecules have survived over time, and if there's a chance that the animal the blood came from could be identified. It's far from being possible to bring...
The chance of the animal that it fed from being identified is zero. Is absolute zero. I mean, he's just putting that out there so people will check this out and go, you know what I mean? the DNA survived. He said DNA survived. They never said DNA survived. They said iron and porphyrin molecules, which is proof of blood. They didn't say DNA, you
Get the DNA.
buffoon. You utter buffoon. Anyway, this guy's a buffoon. Anyway,
Prehistoric animals back to life.
how do these guys get so many subscribers on their channel, man? They're the most unscientific morons. I mean, I get things wrong. Like when I said we find 20%, what do you call it?
Well, regardless, you're right. You mean
Neanderthal. When you find 20% Neanderthal in a
Sure.
person, it's 6 or 7%, or 3 or 5% they've found, or 6 or 7%, not 20%. So I got that wrong, but at least later on I can correct myself. And they have found DNA. But what that guy just said is utter buffoonery and pseudoscience.
Hey, man,
anyway.
the studies I've read say that Neanderthal and humans are like 99.999% the same. So I don't know.
Yeah, it's only one arm. It's only one part of, like, I think they found the Y chromosome and the mitochondrial DNA, and it's only one arm of the of the Y chromosome and the thing, you know. But it's hard to, I don't know, to get into that
Either
sort of
way.
stuff's just too complicated.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's keep going.
But the potential to find
We'll do
blood samples
Neanderthals
from
one
some
day.
species opens up
Oh no! Oh, dang it! Oh, there you are.
abdomen, and it was only after using a
Oh no! Here we go.
Look at him go. I'm sorry.
using a scanning electron microscope and a mass spectrometer that they could show that there were indeed traces of iron and porphyrin molecules. Which
Hang
was
on, let me
proof
get
of
up a
blood.
bit further.
It had previously been assumed that genetic material from so long ago
There.
of the study will be to carefully remove a sample of the blood without damaging the specimen, and then looking to find how the different blood molecules have survived over time, and if there's a chance that the animal the blood came from could be identified. It's far from being
Now we're back to where the animal could be identified. If you're doing these videos and straight away, it's never possible that I'll identify the animal that it fed on.
possible to
Anyway.
bring prehistoric animals back to life, but the potential to find blood samples from some species opens up a whole new way to explore the past and more fully understand the animals that used to roam the planet, as well as the environmental conditions that surrounded them at the time as well. Number 9, four-legged snake.
And here we go. I love this four-legged snake. This thing, I've had so many evolutionists show me and say, oh, this is proof of evolution. Look, in the past, snakes had legs. And this is basically just a legless lizard, right? This is just a legless lizard, a large legless lizard, because we know everything in the past was bigger, right? That died off. Or if this is a snake with legs, now it did say in the Bible that the snake, we assume that the snake had legs because God said from now on you will go crawling on your belly. So we assume the serpent had legs. And also this snake's legs are so small that it has to crawl on its belly, and it lost those legs over time. So this is a loss of information. This is not evolution. I love it when evolutionists bring up this and say,
Oh, sure. Yeah, like they'll use blind cave fish, right? They'll say, look, these blind cave fish, they're losing their eyes. And it's like, so you think that loss of anatomy and loss of
but see, with
DNA?
the blind cavefish, just let me tell you about the blind cavefish quickly. If they put the blind cavefish into, they've got seeing counterparts on the outside that are identical, except the only difference is that they don't have eyes, right? If they put those seeing counterparts on the outside that have eyes into a completely dark environment, within 1 or 2 generations, they start to lose their eyes. 1 or 2 generations. So this says epigenetics, not mutation, not. And what they say is this thing swam along and it bumped its eyes in the dark, and over long periods of time and subsequent generations that it slowly evolved without the eyes and all this sort of stuff. And then they put it in a tank and in a pitch black dark, and they start to lose their eyes within 1 or 2 generations or something. They said in this thing that I was reading. I got to find that, but it's hilarious. So, and I mean, you've got the Hudson River. Some fish in the Hudson River can double its size in 48 hours for some reason. It can literally double its size in 48
That's
hours.
amazing.
Yes, we've got
Like a
this
puffer
actually-
fish, like a puffer fish.
No. Just a regular. Literally, it's physical size within like 48 hours or a week or something. Like 48 hours. It has this.
See, that's
genetic-
amazing. That's amazing. But what's even more amazing is that these evolutionists believe that loss of anatomy and compounded genetic mutation, is what's needed to create more animals. I didn't realize that loss of anatomy and more diseases and genetic diseases is what creates animals. So we're
Yeah,
going to
but they
lose all
always-
the anatomy to gain it all? Is that how it works?
Yeah.
You're going to lose all your anatomy until you gain it all? Is that how evolution works? So they've got
Well,
snake
that's-
losing legs. And here's the other thing, Jason, that I thought of with the snake is like you'll sometimes have where the switch is turned back on in the snake to get legs again.
Yeah.
So you'll
Well, they've
have
actually
snakes
found-
born
they've
modernly.
They've found a gene in chickens where the gene for chicken teeth is switched off. So you know how they say that they find those ancient birds and they've got teeth? Well, they've literally found the gene for teeth in a chicken, but it's been switched off. So if they were, they don't know how to switch it on, but if they were to switch that gene back on, the chickens could grow teeth. As rare as hen's teeth, they say. Well,
Well, they have them sometimes, right?
Yeah.
Well, I know they've got an egg tooth to break the egg or something like
Yeah.
that. But
Yeah.
But yeah,
just
they
a-
claim, they're like, all this loss of anatomy. They're like, look at these changes. Blind cave fish, snakes without legs. It's like, so you're going to lose all your anatomy to gain it all? I didn't realize that's how evolution works.
Yeah,
I just
here we
like-
go. Let's get on.
Like
let's,
if you
let's
keep
just get
tripping,
on
it's
with
like,
this.
they think like if you keep tripping on your foot, you're going to lose a toe generationally. Like
wanna
there's some
find the
things
picture
that
of this.
can,
Here it is. This is what I was looking for. This is what I want to show people. There's your little snake with snake legs, with the legs at the back, right up there, at the back, and the head down here in the bottom
Sure.
right, and up in the top left. You got these tiny little legs that are going away, basically. So, and that's an unusual looking head on that snake, but we got a lot of snakes today with very unusual looking heads. Look at the different varieties of snake
Yeah.
in the world. Anyway, and
well, yeah, I mean,
this
there's
like,
snakes.
look,
There's snakes born
look here
today
at the
with
front.
legs.
It looks like a leg at the front. See that little thing there, right at the just below, in that loop there. You got this little L section there. I don't know what that is, but that might be just a legless lizard. Look at the size of the thing compared to his hand. I've caught legless lizards that big. I've literally caught legless lizards, man.
That's a big one.
Actually, not quite that size, but they used to be up in Pennant Hills, New South Wales. I used to go to visit my grandfather on his property, and I used to catch hundreds of legless lizards, hundreds. And when I first caught them, I go, "Oh, that's a snake! That's a snake!" They said, "That's a baby snake," and they said, "No, that's legless lizards." So basically, they just got themselves a legless lizard there, and they're saying this is a snake that in the past snakes had legs. I mean, oh man, imagination.
Well,
and the
that might
street.
be, but I mean, have you seen the photos of snakes that are born with legs?
No.
Okay, you should go to Google and check that out because there's a good photo of sometimes snakes are born with that section of their genome turned back on.
Yeah,
modern
or a Hox mutation, Hox gene.
Sure.
But if it's not,
yeah, body type. You mean body type or body form mutation? The Hox genes?
problem with. Yeah, I don't know much about the Hox gene, but I know that there's a problem in the Hox gene that you can grow all these weird things, and they try to say that it's evolution, but it's actually a mutation, and it's actually not beneficial. It's like when they started messing with the genomes of fruit flies, and this fruit fly came out with an extra set of wings, 4 wings, and they basically claimed it was evolution, but it's ridiculous because the extra set of wings basically would hinder it so much that it actually caused it to die an early death, and it wouldn't get a chance to pass anything on. It's like, and it's just a mutation. Like it's a problem in the I can't remember the exact part, but it's the Hox gene anyway. So
yeah, I mean, not a lot of people know that snakes. They're sometimes born with legs now, and they've got photos online of some of these snakes.
Oh, there it is. There it is. It does have a front leg. I think. Oh no, that's the back leg going. Oh no. Wait a minute, that is the back leg. Is that the back leg? Yeah. Oh no, I think that's on the
But
curve.
it's
at the front.
nothing. I don't think it's
the
anything
curve at the
compared to
front.
what the snakes used to have. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like in the Garden of Eden.
Or what?
But what
Yeah.
this is you're seeing a fossil of a snake that had the mutation where its legs were turned back on. Because
Here
this
we
would
go.
be obviously from the fall, not from the fall, but from the flood. So you have the snake in the garden, it loses its legs right from the get in the garden. You know what I mean? So even the snakes during the flood that got fossilized, they would have also been missing their legs. But even modernly, you have snakes born with legs. Okay? So it's not out of the question to find a snake fossilized with legs, given you can find them modernly today.
Yeah, it's a
But they're
Hoxton.
nowhere near the legs. I imagine that they haven't had a snake born with perfect legs ever again because of the curse and whatnot. It's been turned off. That section of the genome is just turned off in snakes. But because of mutation and because there's been so much mutation, some snakes have been born with that section of the genome turned back on. You know, and they'll claim that that's going back to their lizard ancestry. You know, but it's actually part of the Bible. You know, this is one of the things that God had changed since his creation.
All right, here we go. We're gonna have a look at this ancient shark attack.
All right.
One way of learning about prehistoric animals is by studying the fossils they leave behind. But this comes with a limitation, as some animals are more likely to leave fossils than others. Because of the way that most of their bodies are made of cartilage, it's extremely rare to find fossils of sharks apart.
And by the way, and I know that they scream up and down when people say this, but there is no such thing as a megalodon. A megalodon is just a giant great white pointer. I mean, have a look at the teeth.
Sure.
It's
Now-
just a giant. What they're finding megalodon
And you have a
teeth
lot of
in-
shark
it's
teeth.
mako
You know,
shark
the
teeth.
megalodon.
But wait a minute, they're
Megalodon
finding
fossils
modern.
are majorly shark
Mate,
teeth.
I didn't finish. They're finding modern megalodon teeth. I've watched guys collecting teeth in the sediment, and they're finding modern megalodon teeth megalodon teeth in with modern mako shark teeth. Modern mako shark teeth, and they're all mixed
Sure.
in together, all jumbled together. It's like megalodon.
There's some
by
big
art.
sharks. There's some big sharks in the ocean. Have you ever heard of the 6-gill shark?
Yeah.
And it stays down at the bottom, and it's like twice the size of a reef shark. It's probably about the size of your great whites. To be honest, it's just the big shark for the Caribbean. You know.
Yeah, but
So
yeah. Well, the great whites, I'm telling you, there's great whites out there that are 30 foot plus today. And it's just, I saw a video that they removed. This shark swam under an 18-foot boat. It hit an elephant seal. They said in the first strike, it took 300 pounds of flesh. And then they had a drone above, or a helicopter, I think it might have been, or it must have been a big drone, because you could see the air from the wings. Anyway, they were filming this boat from directly above, and this shark swam just a few feet under the boat, like depth, and you could see the shark clearly, and it was at least twice the size of this 18-foot boat, and that'd be 36 foot, right? And they've removed that video off the internet from everywhere. I cannot find. That was a legitimate video from the Farallon Islands, and it was in
there's some big
2014.
stuff.
It was in
There's some big stuff
2014 in the
ocean.
Farallon Islands, and ever since that time, they won't go out in that small boat again for shark attacks. You know what they say now? They say, oh, there's no point going out in the boat now, because since then we have to do all these safety checks, and by the time we do all the safety checks, we can't go out again. Yeah, the reason why you don't want to go out there, mate, is because you had a shark that could have just flicked its head, smashed your boat into tin foil, and swallowed both of you with one bite. That's why you don't go out there again. And they've removed that video, mate. You cannot find it anywhere. And it was a legit video. So there you go. I mean,
That's bigger than Jaws.
That is bigger than Jaws, mate. That thing, I saw the
Makes
seal
Jaws
that it
look like a
hit.
minnow.
300 pounds of flesh. They said they showed the bloody shark, mate. They showed it swim under the boat. from above. It was clear as crystal. It wasn't down deeper. You know, if it's down deeper, it looks like you see a shadow and you think, oh, that shadow could be this size and it could be that size. No,
Sure.
no, this thing was only about 3 or 5 feet below the boat in crystal clear water. You could see the shark. It's crystal clear, like you were looking through crystal clear glass. And this thing swam under, man, and you get it swam directly under the boat from back to front. And you could see it was more than twice the length of the boat, and the boat was 18 feet. I've got the video of him talking about that experience, but they won't show the footage from it. They will not show the footage from it. So, and the reason why they won't is because people would look at that and go, well, look at that. There's your megalodon. The megalodon is just a giant great white. They grow all their lives great whites, and they've discovered now they live up to 70 to 80 years, and they never stop growing.
I think that there's always been big animals and there's always been smaller animals. There's always been variation of the same kinds. And, you know, I believe that even initially that the same kinds were created with varieties of them. So, like, there had been big sharks
That's
and
right.
little sharks.
You look at megalodon teeth and look at white teeth.
And there could be
great white.
There could be sharks as big
They're
as
the same.
megalodons still alive today. The ocean is a huge place. You know,
there's slight
a lot of room.
differences, but they're the same. If a shark, if a great white could grow to 45 feet or 40 feet, like if it got enough food, let's put it this way: if a shark in the ocean today could get enough food and live to its full lifespan to 70 to 80 years, a great white, it could easily grow to over 30 feet, easily. And I mean, they're finding megalodon teeth literally in the same layer. They're not being jumbled up later on. They're in the same layer. You know, modern mako shark teeth with megalodon teeth are just right on top of each other and buried and packed in with each other. So, I mean, it's just, I understand you believe that there's different created kinds, but I have no doubt at all that the megalodon is just a giant great white. There is no other species. There's no separate kind or a kind within a kind. It's just a great white made a giant great white. That's my opinion anyway, from what I've seen. It's just a load of rubbish. There's no such thing as a megalodon. It never was. Anyway.
Yeah. No, yeah, it's
Teeth,
just
for
a made up
example.
name, and they found mostly teeth, you know, of the megalodon.
Yeah.
So it's, you know, there's some big sharks out there, and there could very well be, like you said, a shark the size of a megalodon now, and we just wouldn't even know because the ocean's that big.
That's right.
And if they keep removing, you know, videos of such things,
yeah, I know that video, mate. That was just, if I could show you that video now, everyone would just look at it and go, whoa, whoa. Yeah. I mean, you'd see that shark. Man, and it's funny how he said during that video that like the one where they'd removed the thing, but he was talking about it. Oh, ever since that day, we don't go out in the little boat anymore because it takes too long. And by the time we've got all these new OH&S rules, occupational health and safety rules, and we have to go through all these checks, and by the time we check everything, it's just too late and it's all over by the time we get out there. Yeah, what a liar! He doesn't go out there because he had a boat twice as big as his 18-foot shark, twice as big as his 18-foot boat swim underneath it. That's why I don't go out there anymore. A lion.
yeah, I wouldn't want to go diving there. I would not want to go diving there if I seen that thing swimming around.
Mate,
It'd be over.
The Farallons are just shark territories. Wherever there's seals, there's sharks. If you go swimming anywhere where there's seals, there's white pointers. Okay, so except for the Arctic, probably, but just about anywhere else on Earth, if there's seals, there's white pointers there. So that's how you know.
I've seen. You mean the white tipped reef shark?
No, white shark. The white pointers we call them. White shark.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say I've seen. Yeah, we don't have them here in the Caribbean though.
Yeah, you do. White sharks are in Tasmania. They're in South Africa. They're in South California. They're in the Caribbean. They're everywhere, mate. It's that the only place that you won't find white sharks is if the water's too cold. But then again, I mean, like in the Antarctic or somewhere like that. But everywhere else, they're everywhere. So basically, if you're going swimming just about anywhere around America, except for maybe up in Alaska and those real cold water regions, and just about anywhere else in America, you go swimming. If you ask people, is there seals around this area? And if they say yes, then there's white sharks. And by the way, white shark jaws don't start to mineralize until they're 13 foot long. Until a white shark hits 13 foot, their jaws don't mineralize and they don't start feeding on mammals. They feed on mostly fish until they hit 13 foot. So basically, you hear all these cuddly stories about surfers swimming with white sharks in Southern California. Well, the white sharks in Southern California are mostly juveniles, and to sharks, size is everything. So the surfers on their surfboards are around about the same size as the sharks. If you have a look at those videos where people are saying, oh, look at the white pointers, they're not interested in people because they haven't reached 13 foot yet, buddy. I felt like yelling at the video. When they reach 13 foot, mate, their jaws mineralize and they switch from fish to eating mammals. And I basically say, get all of those surfers from Southern California and let them swim around Australia. I mean, we've only got the amount of population that would swim every year in America would be massive with 350 million people. If you put the same amount of people around Australia where there's mostly where there's mostly adult great whites, there wouldn't be, this cuddly little, oh, look, they're just swimming around so peacefully. There'd be people getting eaten left, right, and center. I mean, we got a very small population in this country. You got to think of how many people go in the water every year around America, 350 million compared to 27 million.
Yeah, well, I'm lucky. I'm lucky that I've never seen a great white shark over here in the. I've dove in the Caribbean. All we've seen are reef sharks, nurse sharks, white tip sharks. I think I saw a tiger shark once in the distance, but.
Well, have a look. When we get off, have a look at white pointers in the Caribbean, mate. They'll be everywhere.
Yeah.
Just type into YouTube white pointers in the Caribbean and have a look. Mate, if you got seals, have you got seals around the Caribbean anywhere? You got white pointers.
it could be that they call them reef sharks because I've seen a lot of reef
No. You got white tip reef sharks. You've got oceanic white tips. You've got a white pointer and a white shark are both the same shark. In Australia, we call them a white pointer. In America, you call them a white shark. So we're talking about exactly the same species, mate. The white shark.
So they're kind of like loners then, right? Because the only white tips I've seen, like this white tip, they'll have a white tip.
No. White tips are the ones. Literally, tens of thousands of people have been eaten by white tips. Whenever a ship goes down in the Second World War, there was one ship that went down with thousands of people on it, and only a few people survived. All of them were eaten, and most of those were eaten by white tips. If you have a look on the internet, how many people have been killed by white tip, oceanic white tips? And they'll come up, and the thing will come up saying thousands and countless thousands. The oceanic white tip and the white pointer and the white shark are two different species. And the white tip reef shark, that's a different species. No, literally, just have.
See, I've seen the white tip. I've seen the white tip reef shark, and it was kind of like a loner. But then I've seen like a lot of reef sharks together, like in a group. So I don't know. They're like different. They act differently and behave differently. But I've never seen the great white in the Caribbean. But I'm not saying they're not there because I know that they go across the whole ocean, man. Sharks travel quick.
Hang on.
But yeah, mostly nurse sharks. I've swam with nurse sharks. I've swam with the reef sharks, but I don't think I'd ever get in with the great white. Just seeing them in the cages, like the people in the cages in Australia, I just could never do that. Stick your hand out, it's gone.
Yeah. Well, you'll find that there's probably great whites around. Anywhere where the water's warm there, so there'll be great whites there, man.
Sure.
It's
like
if there's seals there,
like I said, they go everywhere. The sharks.
Well, there's warm water. If you've got warm water, there'll be great whites around there, mate. It's simple as that. They like warm. They don't like going in water below about 12 degrees. That's 12 degrees Celsius, I think, not Fahrenheit. 12 degrees Celsius, which is about 50.
No, I could believe all the reef sharks have a common reef shark ancestor. But I don't think that I could believe that the hammerhead shark and the reef shark have a common shark ancestor. Because the hammerhead shark has that extra, equipment up front that the other sharks don't seem to. But So yeah, I think, varieties. There's varieties. And I think you're probably right. I mean, the megalodon's just a big shark tooth. And I believe
Hang
that
on. Sorry.
there
I
could
just had-
still be species of sharks that big, So
Yeah.
for no doubt. But yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I believe that there could be, and I also believe there could be giant squid and giant octopus, But I don't believe in Sasquatches. I don't think that's possible. Because there's so much ocean that we can't explore. But I mean, there's a lot of woods that we don't explore too, I suppose. But I don't know. I just don't see Sasquatch being a real thing.
Yep. Here we go. It says here, great white mako, bull shark, oceanic white tip are not commonly found in the Caribbean waters. There you go. So you're right.
Well, that's the only place I mean, we do a lot of lake diving here in the north, but I've been down
Here it is.
south.
Here's another article. The number of white sharks in the Atlantic, Caribbean, and Gulf have likely increased as well.
Yeah, they will go everywhere.
Scientists have published papers in the past 2 weeks that show the Pacific population is growing and that the number of white sharks in the Atlantic, Caribbean, and Gulf have likely increased as well. With more sharks, the population is likely expanding in range. If you've got seals there, anywhere around where you are, I guarantee you there's white sharks, mate. They might not be seen as commonly or whatever, but there's white sharks if there's seals.
Well, they go through the whole ocean. Like the sharks, they'll go through the whole ocean because they swim so fast. They can migrate.
Well, they tagged one white shark and it went from Australia to South Africa in 7 days or something like that, or a month later or 7 days later. I can't remember.
Yeah. They'll travel, and those, and like some sharks, like I feel like the whites, they're probably more loners, like the white tips, because the white tips, like you'll see them, but they'll be off in the distance watching you. If you're diving, they're not going to come up on you.
Yeah, but that you're talking about white tip reef sharks, oceanic white tip and
Right.
white tip reef sharks are two different species. The
Oh
oceanic
yeah. I'm talking about white tip reef sharks. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
what I'm saying.
yeah.
But I'm saying like even then, like some sharks, they have different behavioral things in general. Like you'll have the reef sharks where they more like stay in groups and they'll like feast in groups, and you have sharks that are kind of loners. And I wonder if the white sharks or the great whites, if those are more like loner kind of sharks that'll stay to themselves unless there's a feeding frenzy, But I know that the white tip shark, when I've seen it, it's always out in the distance and it'll stay out there. And I know I say white tip because I do mean white tip reef sharks, but like it'll kind of stay out in the distance, and it's got more of that, great white shape. That great white shape. Yeah.
We've got them all here. We've got everything.
And then we got the tiger shark. We'll see a tiger shark now and again.
Well, we've got white pointers up in Cairns, and Cairns is as tropical as you can get. It's full tropical, not subtropical, full tropical, mate. And there's white pointers up there. Anyway, all right.
I bet.
Oh, mate, there's so many fish up there. When you're fishing in some places, you can't. If you catch a fish, you can't even get it out of the water because the water's bubbling with sharks. I don't mean just one or two. The water literally bubbles with sharks, and by the time you get your fish out, it's all shredded, and it's really, really hard to get a fish into the boat in some places. There's that many sharks up there.
Oh, I bet. They're I know when I was diving in near Belize, they would feed the shark for you, and you go scuba diving, and then all the sharks would come in, and it would just be a feeding frenzy. And the guy would feed them out of this container, like he'd bring a container of fish with him and a hook, and just be handing it up to the reef sharks or whatever. You probably wouldn't do that with the great whites running around. That's it. They'll take you right out.
Yeah.
Start feeding them like that.
Great whites are, you know. Anyway, I think there's too many of them. Like what happened once is that the environmentalists came out and said that there's. I remember watching this video from a Farallon Islands video, and they said that the environmentalists were saying there's only four. This is back in 2014. They were saying there's only about 400 white pointers on the whole of the earth, and the University of California contradicted them and said, well, that's not true. We know from identification markings and taggings that there's at least 2,400 in the Pacific Ocean alone. That's just the Pacific Ocean. That's just from markings and taggings. And that was back in 2014. So, you know, so when they come out, they go, oh, the white pointers are endangered. Oh, it is rubbish. They're not endangered. They're nowhere near endangered. And you know what? The orcas love eating white pointer livers. I cheer every time I see orcas killing white pointers. There's been these orcas up in they call them white shark serial killers.
Really?
In South Africa.
Orcas are killing the great white sharks.
They love their livers, mate. They love their livers. An orca gets up to 8 ton. You know what I mean? And it just swims in, basically just bites the great white. The great white freezes with fear. Even if it's a 20-foot great white, it'll freeze with fear. And they just bite them and split them open, rip their livers out and let the rest float away. Because their livers are like 200 kilos. 100, 200, 300.
Oh, yeah. I've only seen them in Marineland. The killer whales. Yeah.
So killer whales love white shark livers. Good on you, killer whales. Keep going.
That's a big fish, man. That's a big one. Wow. Yeah, Australia. So you have, what is it? The Great Barrier Reef, right? By Australia.
Yeah.
Or am I crazy? Yeah. So you got that's a beautiful. That's got to be a great dive.
Yeah, I don't like going in the ocean. I know what's in the ocean. I mean, there's a lot of big stuff. There was a battleship that was stopped in 1972, and something attacked the sonar buoy. You know, underneath the battleship, they got that big sonar thing, like bulb thing underneath the battleship. Sure. And this, they worked out from the claws that got stuck in the lining of this thing. It literally disabled a battleship, this giant squid. It attacked the battleship. This is not disputed. The size of the squid's disputed, right? But the fact that it was attacked by a squid, like a colossus squid, I believe, because they're bigger than the giant squid. The colossus squid, just have a look at the colossus squid.
There's a lot of evidence for the colossal squid or the giant squid.
Not evidence. They know the colossal squid lives now. Yeah. Have a look. It's all, they know how deep it goes, like about how deep it goes. And a lot of the colossal squid's not a, basically, so this bat was attacked by, I believe it was a colossal squid, not a giant squid. And it disabled it badly enough where it had to return to port to be repaired. So if this thing can attack a battleship and rip apart the lining of one of the buoys underneath the battleship while it's cruising along, then, you know, and disable a battle. Imagine what it could do to your 18-foot tinny or your 30-foot tinny.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Anyway. Well, there's stories of the giant squid from sailors, you know. Yeah. You have stories of giant squid or even sea serpents and stuff, and it's just interesting. And then I heard like a lot of people claim like they didn't know what they were seeing, you know. Yeah. It's like these are sailors. These guys, like, you know, they go out and they were just hallucinating or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, yeah, right. They definitely saw some crazy crap.
There was one thing that they were out, that there was a story on the logbooks of this boat. Ken Oven told this story. They went out, and this is actual logbook story, and they went out on this boat to go to shore, wherever they were on this sailing boat days, and they were in a rowboat, and they had some muskets on them, right? And this thing stuck its head out of the water about 6, 8 feet out of the water, and had like a horse-shaped head on top of it. And then it went back down again, and then it came back up again, and someone shot it with the musket ball. And I think they hit it, and then it came back up again, and they shot it again. Whatever it was, they shot it, and when it went down, it never came back up again. And they said the thing had a long neck and a horse head, similar to a horse head on top of it, which is like the pliosaur today.
Yeah, or the Nessie, the
Well,
Loch
not the
Ness.
pliosaur. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
They're
I'll
always
stop
saying that has
going
a
on
horse
that.
head on it. When people see that, they're saying that has a horse head. The Loch Ness Monster.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about that, the Loch Ness Monster, whether it's real or not. But anyway.
Well, there's a
Let's
lot of
see.
lakes up here in North America, you know, and there's a
Yeah,
lot of
Lake
legends
Champlain.
there's a lot of legends from the natives that there were lake monsters in the Great Lakes
Yeah.
and the lakes that are up in northern Canada or eastern Canada, northeastern Canada. Yeah, but
Countries-
there's one legend that's called the underwater panther, and if you look up underwater panther online, it'll show you the legend, and it's like, you know, a quadruped or whatever with a tail, and it's got a really long neck, and it just looks so much like a dinosaur, even just from the drawings from. They have actual, what is it called when it's in a wall? If it's a glyph.
Hieroglyphs. Petroglyphs.
Yeah.
Petroglyphs.
And it's like a carving. It's like something that's carved into the wall, or like they'll add, you know, sort of like tiles to it. They'll do like a tile thing going on.
Yeah. How they do it is when they make those pictures on the walls, they draw the outline and they peck at it with a bone, with a sharp pointed bone, and they'll peck little peck marks, and that's how they carve it into the rock.
Sure. But yeah, like the North American Indians, they had like pictures or petroglyphs, like you said, of this on the wall of these what would be the underwater panther, you know, and it's like it looks like a dragon or whatever, you know, to us, and it's even got feathers and, you know, beard, like some Chinese dragons are shown with. You know how some Chinese dragons will have a beard, but like the classic Chinese dragon has like a mustache kind of thing going on. But but it was feathery. So you have like these feathery serpents in the Americas, and the natives, they were talking about them. And I heard that in Australia, I think it's Australia, there's a place called Serpent Mound or something, or like where all these black rocks are piled on top of each other. And it's called like Serpent something. I don't know. Rainbow Serpent. They say the Rainbow Serpent lives there. Or like the Aborigines do. I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy.
Yeah, well, no, that's the Aborigines believe the Rainbow Serpent is the creator, like we believe Jesus Christ is the creator. They believe this serpent created everything. The Rainbow Serpent created everything. So basically they worship Satan, the serpent.
That's interesting. That's very odd. But it's so is there a place where they say that it lives in Australia?
Yes, the Rainbow Serpent is the creator. No, there's no one place for the Rainbow Serpent. I don't know. There might be, but I don't know. Whatever. The Rainbow Serpent is basically, according to the Aboriginals, the creator of everything.
Huh. Well, it's an interesting creation story. You know, I mean, you have the in South America, you have the Mayans, and they believe in feathered serpent, the Quetzalcoatl. Have you heard of that?
I think. Yep.
The Quetzalcoatl, and they say
no.
Okay, well, there's in the Mayan, in their religion, Quetzalcoatl is like this feathery serpent thing. So even they have this serpent character, you know.
Yeah.
which is interesting.
Yeah.
But, you know, if it all comes from the same history, it makes sense that we'd all have the same kind of characters in one way or another,
Yeah.
you know, in our religion. So it's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
But they like had these kings or these rulers that would come to the Mayans, and they'd bring holy plants with them with holy fruit and like these special plants, and like they were depicted in the drawings on the walls of the ziggurats in Mexico, like with these plants. And like each one brought like a gift, but like they'd come, and Quetzalcoatl, I forgot how it works but I gotta study that more. I've got the Book of the Mayans, and is it the Popol Vuh? I think it's Popol Vuh.
You're breaking,
But
coming in and out, breaking in and out. Bloody
I apologize. Yeah, it's switching networks on me again here. So
No, it's not your fault. It's not your fault. You can't help it. All right, now, I suppose, do you want to end it now, or?
sure, yeah. I mean, I guess we'll call it, and we'll try again next week. See if we get anyone on here. Chat them up.
Yeah,
Maybe,
we'll just
maybe
get it
pay
now
the
that I've got it
logos
going
or
on Rumble.
someone.
I've worked out how to do it on Rumble. I've basically deleted. Yeah, maybe. I've deleted my maybe if just you and him talk, I'll stay out of it while you and him talk. I won't even join. If you and him want to talk, then I'll just let you and him talk. What was I going to say? I can't remember. It doesn't matter. It's not important, obviously. Anyway, I suppose
All right,
that what are we going to do? And okay, all right, we'll end the stream now. I'll see you later. God bless. Do you want to say anything, Sea Science?
No, I guess that should do it. I mean, I guess we'll see y'all next week. Thanks for watching, and like and
Breaking up.
subscribe. Oh well, that figures. Like and subscribe, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah. Well, someone.